What's up, everybody? I just want to talk about some of these rumors about Xbox and how they might be bringing in other storefronts onto the Xbox ecosystem, like Steam and Epic Games Store, or some other ones like GOG and itch.io. Um, I think that's something that, if true, and if they can pull it off well, that Xbox can honestly come back and dethrone PlayStation again. PlayStation has overtaken Xbox ever since like the latter half of the 360. 360, I still think was one of the golden ages of Xbox. But towards the end, with the Kinect and definitely moving into the Xbox One announcement, Microsoft really fumbled it. Definitely with the Kinect, trying to compete with the Wii and what Nintendo. No one can do what Nintendo does best. But also, Xbox at the time of the Xbox One announcement, I think this is something that a lot of people don't understand. Maybe this is a hot take, but I think Xbox is honestly ahead of their time. I know that they had the very unpopular always online requirements, but honestly, that's where we're at now. They just tried implementing it in 2013, and at that time, that wasn't gonna fly. But they knew for over the course of 10 years and what they were trying to do. I do think they were ahead of their time. It was probably I understand why they made the move. It was too early, definitely a generation too early for that, and they ended up losing the most important generation. And they said it themselves, the generation where people were building their digital libraries truly for the first time. I know before in the 360, I too had plenty of arcade games, and that's kind of why I still have both. I have a Switch, I got the PS5, I got the Xbox Series X, and a gaming PC. And like the reason I don't even use the Series X that much, but I do have a digital library with Xbox. The old 360 games, with the Games of Gold. I think those you just got to keep with. I don't even think you need to be a Games of Gold member to play like the 360 ones. I know definitely with the Xbox One versions. And I got, just arcade games. I have a big library of 360 games. And I have a 360, but I know that thing's going to die someday. And I just want to still have access to the digital games. I know, yeah, I do have a lot of physical games too, but with these companies, Microsoft, Sony, Nintendo, I'm not too worried about them. Like if any of them crash and go out of business, we got bigger problems at that point, and that's a sad day for gaming. And so I do have a mix of physical and digital. My digital library is growing more and more every day. I mean, it's huge, honestly. I have a big physical library, but I really go mainly based on sales. If I can choose to buy two games for $100 or 10, I would generally buy the 10, assuming that they're comparable in quality. Of course, I'm not just going to buy garbage for the sake of having a higher number of games. With that being said, Xbox lost the most important generation for digital games. And so I think their idea of bringing Steam and Epic Games Store, like these libraries on the Xbox, I think that's huge. I mean, everyone probably has a huge Epic Game Store library with their free games. It's not monthly. I don't keep track of it. I claim them all the time. I've been doing it for like God, almost like 10 years now. I have definitely have over 200 Epic Game Store games. I never bought a single one. Which is sad for Epic Games Store, but at the same time, I think it's smart because the bigger that library gets, I look at it. I'm like, wow, I have 200 games here. I have a big Steam library too, because like every year they have the Steam sale, and I'll scoop some games up there because Chrono Trigger for like $5 or whatever the price. I'm like, hell yeah, I'm gonna add that to my library. I don't know when I'm gonna play it, but I'll seal the deal on that. That was a recent example, so that just came to my head. Same with Humble Bundle, like oh, I can buy 10 games for $1. I'll do Humble Bundles and get those keys all the time. And so my Steam and Epic Game Store libraries have been growing over time. Now, with the next generation Xbox, if all those libraries, my 200 Epic Game Store games, whatever, 150 Steam libraries, if that can get added and injected with my Xbox games, where I have a bunch of digital games there, uh, I have a lot of games of games with gold games too, but not so much different than the PlayStation, where I have to be subscribed. I know the subscription is mixed with Game Pass, and I don't love Game Pass. But it's another incentive to have that, just our own personal Netflix of games. But let's ignore the Game Pass for a second. The games of gold. I still have a lot of digital games with Xbox, so sprinkle that in. It gives me more incentive to actually just start buying my digital games on Xbox versus PlayStation, where my library is much, much lower. I have not bought many digital games on PlayStation. I have some, but actually my PS5 library is largely physical, and that's just because scooping up physical sales and playing the games and how long it takes me to play the games now. So by the time I'm able to move on to another one, my backlog has grown with other games I bought on the cheap. Yeah, I mean, that if we are truly going to an all digital future, which I don't love because I do use my PlayStation 5 as a 4K Blu-ray player, so I really don't want to lose the disc drive like for that as well. But let's say we do go to an all digital future. Of course, the Switch 2 is a big competitor here, but if we're talking just Xbox and PlayStation, and Xbox has this ecosystem where I can sit on the couch and have access to my and we're assuming this is a clean, not clunky setup where I can have that access to all these Steam games and Epic Game Store games and these other PC game stores, and it's just all injected in a really easy UI uh, to work off of, and just basically look like a Netflix game. Who cares where the source is? It's just really easy and accessible. Yeah, I could see that really taking over PlayStation, even with a handheld version. If they get into the handheld PC market to compete with the Steam Deck and the Switch 2, maybe it'll be something where the Xbox is incorporated with the Steam Deck. But I don't know. It really makes it appealing because then you buy the game and then you have access to on PC. Really, I could see a lot of people just investing heavy in their Steam library. Yeah, I haven't invested too heavily in the Steam library. I don't really buy any new games on Steam. I really just scoop up sales. But I might consider it. I mean, I work all day, and so I don't play too much PC gaming. I do have like a 3080, and yeah, I sit at a desk all day. And so, and this might be another hot take. I think a lot of people who are huge into PC gaming might not have a nice enough TV setup to really enjoy the console gaming side of things. But I do have a pretty nice TV, so sitting on the couch and with the OLED 77-inch TV, it's super comfortable. And if I'm only playing for like, 30 to 45 minutes a night, because of like parenting and all of that, sitting at the computer more, it's like, I don't know if I really want to, but I want to have the option. I do like having the option when I want to have that high fidelity gaming, and again, just like the access to cheap games on Steam, and with $80 games and the economy and all of that, like maybe whoever can have access to the cheap games, because as time goes on, like the old games aren't going away. Gamers love older games and preservation. And really, for me, it's just access. I mean, when I'm retired someday, I'm hoping to be able to have time to play just like thousands of games. And really, that's what it comes down to, is playing the games. And if they're digital, so be it. I mean, my retro games, they're not that easy to set up. They're all made for 4x3, and on the new TVs, you have to get converters, and it's kind of a pain in the ass. And in 10 or 20 more years, what if HDMI goes away and they do something new? And is it going to be just another pain in the ass? We're going these all digital games. So if these consoles lose disk drives and PCs don't have disk drives, it's a huge pain in the ass. And then there's remasters. So who wants the old version anyway? And I don't know. That's why I'm half and half on the digital and physical. But yeah, this and then this move, like PlayStation knows that PC gaming is a thing. They're putting their games on PC. And so then maybe we get the PlayStation games on Xbox. I don't think Nintendo will ever go this route. I mean, they went mobile, so maybe they might sprinkle one or two and test the waters. I highly, 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 highly doubt that. But yeah, this battle for the digital library, if even if it's artificial and Xbox loses money, they might be able to use these other game stores and inject that into their environment. I mean, they're already on PCs, so maybe they make an app that makes it all work together and you plug in your accounts and it sees what's installed on your computer and puts it all in one app to launch it with a console like UI, and then they can use that on a PC handheld and have a console box, because I know Steam's tried to get into the living room, and honestly, like, still the entertainment center, again, Xbox One was ahead of the time, but really that's still great. It's still a great thing to have. I use my PS5 for all my streaming apps, and I use it for my 4K Blu-ray player, and I use it for games, and since I use it for those other things, like the Blu-ray player and my streaming apps, that's why I don't switch back to Xbox very often, and I don't want to have to pay for online for both Xbox and PlayStation when I barely have time to even utilize one, so it's a waste of money to use both. So I don't know. Yeah, I mean, I pay for the PlayStation. So if they can get all of this on the Xbox, then maybe that gets me to pay for online for Xbox, or which is really just Game Pass. Maybe it would be nice to sit down if I had the dedicated time to uh, just dabble in that library for a little bit. If I can do that for a few months, maybe. I don't know. I don't love Game Pass. I'd rather just buy it and just have the backlog. And so, yeah. I mean, there's, I think, is something that if they want to compete against PlayStation, and again, man, maybe it's not a console war anymore. They've largely lost it. And I've grown up with the console wars. I still think Nintendo's the GOAT when it comes to this. I don't think they're going to get dethroned here in this next generation. So I do think it's mostly Xbox versus PlayStation. And just like in 2013, I think they know that the landscape is changing. They're putting their games on PlayStation and on the Switch. They are investing. They've been investing huge in cloud streaming, which I don't do, but that could be useful for like kids and people that aren't in the same financial situation as me. I know back 8 years ago, I was on Game Pass when they had the stuff for like you get 3 years for like $1 a year. I was using Game Pass all the time during that time. It was great for that time. Now I'm at a point where I value just owning the games and having the digital library and physical library a lot more. But if things are going all digital, I think this is a great way they can kind of artificially inflate their numbers using these other game store libraries and make you feel like it's all in one place. And maybe I don't know how they're going to work that if you buy a Steam game on the next generation Xbox console, maybe they take a percentage of it, and I don't know how that changes it if you then just go on Steam on the computer and just buy your games versus on the other UI. But there's probably some benefit to it for them. Just like there's some benefit for putting their games everywhere, where it's like, yeah, they're still getting a cut of the game if you buy it on PlayStation. They're just taking the money. Like, they're not going to leave the money on the table. The people who are buying it on PlayStation probably weren't going to anyway, or buy the game on an Xbox. So like they're just taking not leaving the money on the table, really. So I don't know. Maybe I think they were ahead of the time before. And I don't know. Maybe this is the move, and I really hope that's what happens. Because if they don't do this, I probably won't buy the next generation Xbox. If they're going to keep putting these games on PlayStation, I might just be like, if I want to play these games, I'll just play them on PC or buy them on PlayStation or Nintendo Switch 2. I just haven't been using my Series X enough to justify it, but I might if they do this. And this might be the one thing that they have to do to get me to to purchase an Xbox console for another generation and just still dabble in the ecosystem. So what do you guys think about all this? Please leave a comment below what you think Xbox moves, and could this really help them have another push on PlayStation? And yeah, thanks for watching. If you enjoy this type of video, please like and subscribe. Thank you.